Morning all, I just said I would do a quick video, a chat while I'm making myself some breakfast. So I would just like to explain a little bit more about my history and see where I'm coming from. So I have always struggled with my weight. I've always been the biggest in my friend group sort of thing. Even when everyone was a size 8, I was a 14 to 16. I know that wasn't big, um, but in the early 2000s, it was the biggest of my friends. It's still hard to find clothes and everything like that. Um, I my weight ballooned after having both my kids in 2017 and 2022. I've tried everything to lose weight throughout the years. Unislim, Weight Watchers, Slim and World, Motivation, Slim and World. Um, I went to personal trainers, joined gyms, back to Slim and World. Everything worked for a while. I did calorie counting, numerous apps, MyFitnessPal, everything. Everything worked until it didn't. Um, my back has been causing issues since I was about 18. My hip or pelvis would tilt up, and I used to have to go to physios, chiropractors, get everything realigned, stop pain. It got really bad after I had my daughter, 2019. I had a really bad flare up. It was around Christmas, New Year time. I was off work for 6 weeks, couldn't get out of bed. Numerous anti-inflammatories, painkillers, muscle relaxants, injections, everything. And for the first time, finally, it was taken seriously, and I wasn't just told, "Oh, your back is sore because you've got weight on." And the reply to everything wasn't, "Take some time and take an orphan and lose some weight. Are you exercising?" Um, so I finally had an MRI, seen that I had bulging discs, and got referred to a neurosurgeon. Um, he checked it out and he said possibility I need surgery, but we're going to try injections first. Referred me to a pain specialist. I went to him. He was lovely. I got injections. They were meant to last for a minimum of 6 months. After 5 months, they wore off. And my neurosurgeon sent me back for another round of injections. And while doing those, I was talking to the pain specialist and we were talking about my weight. Now, the best thing about my pain specialist and my neurosurgeon, nothing was about my weight. My weight was a factor, but it wasn't the cause. We talked about it and we said it'd be more beneficial to lose some weight, but it wasn't just put down to you were in pain because of your weight, which I was so grateful for. I felt like I was actually being listened to. So I spoke with pain specialist who said he had people that were similar and they were on the weight loss injection. So he was like, it might be something to look into, because I was saying to him how I was back at Slim World again, lost like a stone and a half, and it just stalled out again. So I came home from that appointment. After a while, I spoke to my GP about it, and we decided that we would give it a try and see. I would go on the injection, though they were so expensive, and see if they had any effect. Because if I eventually did need surgery, my weight was not going to help me having surgery on my back. So I went on Ozempic. I was on it for 4 months. I was so sick on it. I didn't really tell many people I was on it because there was a really big stigma about it at the time. This was 2023. It wasn't long out. And I was on for 4 or 5 months. I lost 4 pounds. I was up and down the same 4 pounds. I was so sick. I had the sulfur bursts, nausea. It was horrible. So my injections in my back also didn't work. So my pain specialist also said he said people that have had bariatric surgery. It was always something that I had said I wouldn't do. It was always something that I didn't really understand. I thought like once you do it, you're on like this limited like liquid diet for life and you can't eat everything. You're on a very strict diet and that's it. But I wasn't able to have surgery on my back at the weight I was. So I did a self-referral. I got referred publicly. My GP referred me publicly and they referred me privately as well to St. Vincent's Private. And I self-referred to Blackrock, to Mr. Rob. So they got back in touch and I went and I had the initial appointment assessment with them. That went really well, and I suggested for either the sleeve or the bypass. I had to they checked my VHI through work, thankfully, is a really good cover, and it covered me for the surgery in Blackrock. I had to have psychology appointments with psychologists. I had to have gallbladder ultrasounds. I had to have scope, the camera down. And after all of these, we decided that I would have the gastric bypass, as I have some scarring from heartburn from when I was pregnant. Both of my kids were breech and the heartburn was unreal. So the bypass is better for preventing heartburn. So that's what I had. I had that in February of 2022. I actually was in on my son's birthday for it. It wasn't a day I would have chosen, but it was either that or wait another couple of months. And my back was getting worse and I needed to get the weight down so I could get the back surgery. So I had my gastric bypass surgery in Blackrock. I can do another video going through the appointments for that and how the surgery went and the recovery and everything. After that, I did end up having more injections in my back because the surgery, my neurosurgeon said he would do the surgery on my back, but it was too close to my gastric bypass. It'd be too much strain on my system to have two surgeries so close together. So it's two big surgeries. So I got more injections into my discs to help with the pain, but we knew that would only be a temporary measure. I then, I've had numerous MRIs. In February of 2025, I actually was offered the same date, my son's birthday, it would have been his third birthday, for my back surgery, but thankfully I was able to take an appointment 2 weeks later. So on the 21st of February, I had my first back surgery. I had an L4, L5 bilateral decompression. So it was open surgery, both sides of the disc were shaved. I had a lot of pain across my back, pain down my legs. If I stood up to walk, I had a limp. So the surgery was well needed. We knew at the time my L5S1 was bad and was causing problems, but it wasn't the main problem, and it would have been too much to do the two discs at the one time. So we were hoping that we'd get a couple of years out of it. I had the surgery, everything went well, recovery went well, but after about 4 or 5 weeks, the pain came back. And by the time I was back up for my post-op appointment, I was talking to my neurosurgeon about the pain, and we decided that second surgery might be required. But to be sure, we wanted to be sure that it was that nerve and the L5S1. So I had more MRIs. I had to have a spinal block to a nerve block to make sure that it was the right disc. So I had that back to my pain doctor, another set round of injection, a nerve block. It doesn't last very long. It only lasts a couple of months. It took a few weeks to kick in, and once it kicked in, the pain was nearly non-existent. Sorry, I just turned on the tumble dryer by mistake. By the time it kicked in, the pain was nearly non-existent, and then the pain slowly started coming back. But that at least told us that it is that nerve that was causing the issues, or been pinched causing pain. So I was scheduled. I went in on Halloween for an L5S1 bilateral decompression and microdiscectomy. So this one, the bone was shaved and the disc. So that was fun. The surgery, the recovery was not as good for this time. I had a lot of bleeding, or as they called it, oozing, as my old scar had to be reopened, and it was finding very hard to knit together. For weeks, I was going to nurses locally to get band dressings changed every 2 days. I had to go on a very strong course of antibiotics. I ended up in Mullingar Hospital one night where I bled through 2 bandages and through my clothes and everything. I had to have it checked to make sure there was no infections and that the wound wasn't reopening. It just turned out that the scar tissue from the previous scar the skin was very tight, and it couldn't knit together. And I had a 3 to 4 centimeter hole that was just kept filling up with blood. Eventually it started to heal and we were able to put steri strips across it. And once we were able to do that, it knitted together fairly quick. I've had my post-op, everything's good. The pain levels are night and day. I went back to work then in February. I had been off for nearly a year because my surgeon wouldn't let me go back while he was doing the investigations and then preparing for the second surgery. I work a desk job, weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 12-hour days. So work have been absolutely brilliant. I met with Och Health and the doctor out there, and we agreed that I would do 6-hour days for 4 weeks. And I'm currently now up to 8 hours a day for 2 months to ease back into it. They've gotten me a really good chair for my back. I have a riser on my desk so I can go from sitting to standing, and they've just allow me to get up and walk around, move about whenever I need to. So they have been so supportive and so helpful. It's been brilliant. Because I was really nervous about going back, especially after being off. Like, I think I was like a week shy of a year off. I also, between my two back surgeries, so between February and October, my weight completely stalled. My weight loss completely stalled after my first back surgery. And I still had weight to lose, and most of my weight that's still left is around my tummy, and I have loose skin there and everything. So I was in touch with my endocrinologist, and we decided that we were going to try going on injections to get the weight loss moving again, as the weight was right across from where my surgery was going to be, and I needed to take the weight off, get the weight from pulling on my back. So I went to him when we talked about going on another weight loss injection. We were thinking about Manjaro, but it's very expensive. But my endocrinologist said to try Ozempic. I was very hesitant about trying it again as it didn't work for me previously. But he said sometimes it has been found that if it hasn't worked for people pre-bariatric surgery, it can work after it. So it was a lot cheaper, so I said I'd give it a go. So I went back on Ozempic for a while and lost another bit of weight, another stone or two. And I had to go off it for my surgery, and I went back on it a couple of weeks after, once I had the all clear to go back onto it. And I'm currently now just on a maintenance dose, 0.5, to kind of silence the food noise and stop the food cravings, but it's kind of keeping my weight steady as well. I'm not up or down. So that is everything. That is kind of a more in-depth look of all that I've been through. I will talk further on each of the surgeries, what was involved with them, the pre and post-op appointments, and the recovery for them all. So I'm just going to eat my rasher and bagel now. So everyone have a nice day.